Life with Susan Harf. Hi everyone, I'm Rose Martin, and thanks so much for joining us for tools and strategies from our favorite life coach on how we can live our very best lives to get over those stumbles that come our way. Well, like you, I cannot wait to hear what's on her mind today. Hi Susan.
Hi Rose, I'm happy to be with you, and I'm certainly happy that you're with us too. So what I'm thinking about today is how everybody around the holidays is being told through all this messaging, it's a jolly time and we're happy, right? Well, some of us are not.
Yeah.
And I speak with people every day who are having a very tough time getting through the holidays because it reminds them of things that in their past that they're not happy about. Family discord, miscommunications, and present day times when some people have lost their jobs, some people have had a very hard time getting through the pandemic. Families don't look the same as they did.
Or grieving.
They're grieving. A lot of people are grieving. A lot of people are still very worried, concerned about the pandemic. So much has changed. And there is such a thing as situational depression, which is different than other kinds of depression in that situational depression has to do with something that is happening in your life that you can pinpoint, that you say, I'm undergoing this right now, and what I say to my clients is it's not going to last forever, I promise.
What would be an example of that?
An example is when during the holidays you find yourself, as November rolls around, you sail through the summer, you're happy about fall, but as it gets to be around November, you feel sort of the sinking feeling. You sort of feel like you're moving into almost like a cave where you see people around you, but you're not really there. You're not really with them. And as November moves on, you feel more and more sullen. And as we then move into Thanksgiving, some people have a lot of anxiety about seeing the family, being with the family. If you've already done that, feeling like you miss your family, you're with them for a very brief time, now you're back home. Or moving into Christmas, you don't want to be with the family again, or you can't be with them again. So you find yourself at this particular time feeling blue, and the weather for some people does not help. In some parts of the country, obviously, it's starting to snow, it's cold, so you're not outside as much. These are all things that can be situational if you find that once December's over and the new year comes, you start to feel better again. So oftentimes these feelings are generated by things in the past, but the feelings are very real now.
Because I'm wearing this snowflake shirt because you think
And
it's
I
going
love
to be.
it.
Oh, thank you very much. But it's really the perception is it's a jolly time and you need
Yeah.
to be jolly. But we're all not living one of those good feel-good movies for all of our lives, right? And it's okay to realize that, you know what, I'm not living in this artificial movie. I want to be happy and I'm going to do the little things. But if I'm really not feeling it, that's okay too.
It is. And at times like this, I think about reaching out. If you are fortunate enough to be content and be happy with your life, think about those who are not, and think about ways that you could help them to make them feel better. So for instance, maybe one of the issues is that people feel very alone during this time. When being by yourself does not mean you have to feel alone. I know that when I spend time by myself, whether I am reading or I'm journaling or I'm thinking or I'm just
Listening to music.
Or exercising or when I swim, that I love being alone. When I'm swimming, I'm not thinking about anything specific. I don't have any goals for when I'm swimming, except the amount of time I'm going to be in the pool, and I just really relax, and I'm alone, and I really enjoy that time. But there are some people for whom, and some situations, where when we're alone, we don't want to be. So for instance, if people were alone on Thanksgiving and they couldn't get home, and they ate by themselves, they spent the day by themselves, that can be a very lonely experience. And so if you have friends who can't get home, and and you enjoy being with them, invite them over. Invite them to join you at your table. Or we talked before about visiting a neighbor who you know is by themselves, or making it your business to find people who may need that lift their spirit, may need that little uplift. And so sometimes you can accomplish that just by being together. So,
well, I have a question before you go there. Can you actually get yourself out of that situational depression?
it depends on truly where you're at with that. So, for instance, many people need professional help to get out of a depression. And as I've said before on this show, you know yourself better than anyone knows you. So you know if you need help. If it's not happening, you're trying all of the things you would do in the past and it's not working,
Okay.
then you need to seek a professional
Okay.
to help you, a mental health professional, to get out of it. But when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling alone, people will say, I'm depressed. What they are is they're sad or they feel lonely. That's not the same thing as being in a depression.
Okay.
So if those are your issues, there are things you can do. Instead of sitting around feeling sorry for yourself that your children have not called you, you call them. If instead of feeling like I'm alone and nobody wants me, there are a million ways to be with people who would love your company. I know we have in the past gone to a soup kitchen during a holiday and helped people there and by serving. There are many programs where you can read to children. Children are so affectionate and loving, and that's a wonderful way to not be alone. Any volunteer job that you can think about doing, and every agency would welcome your volunteerism right now. Those are things that put you with other people and like-minded people who are thinking of others that can just rock your world. It can just make you so much happier from an experience like that. When we have experiences with others and we don't want to be lonely and we want to put ourselves in situations where we're with other people, you come home from that experience and you're so uplifted and it stays with you. So volunteering is a way. Calling your children, calling your friends, initiating is something that we need to do more often when we are feeling sorry for ourselves. Because when someone is wallowing in that, they are not feeling grateful. They're feeling as though someone is doing something to them, as though they put you in that situation, when in fact, you put yourself in that situation, and it is you who needs to take charge of moving out of that situation.
And didn't you say earlier that even if you're mobile, put your coat on if it's cold and open up the door and go outside?
Yes.
That there's a lot of stuff that can happen if you just walk 100 steps and walk back 100 steps.
Exactly.
But open up and go outside.
Exactly. If you choose to stay alone and feel sorry for yourself, that's where you're going to go. Nowhere. And I know, some people have said to me, it might be easy for you to talk to people you don't know. It's not easy for me. And I can appreciate that. But that doesn't mean that you can't push yourself to make a phone call. That's a lot less sometimes imposing.
Yeah.
But I do encourage people to, if you want someone to invite you, invite them. If you want someone to call you, you call them. Because if what you want ultimately is that togetherness, the exciting thing about it is you can initiate it. You can initiate it and get it. You can get what you need. So I believe you do need to be with other people. I think that's vital. I think it's very important. Now I want to sort of move on and talk about something else that can come from these feelings of sadness. If you already have a problem with addiction, then holiday time is sometimes a trigger. And even if you have done well, even if you've been sober, you're experiencing sobriety for years, the holiday time can be can bring on tricky situations. There are parties, there are gatherings, there's get-togethers. Sometimes if you really feel vulnerable and you don't know any other way to handle it, you might have to not go. But that's not what I hope to suggest. I know for some people that is the way they have to handle it. But in lieu of that, if you want to still be with people, then you need to ask for help. So you need to say, look, I'm sober, I don't want to relapse, and please don't offer me any alcohol. Or I'm on a healthy eating program, I can have half a piece, but please don't force me to have more.
Right.
Don't ask me to have seconds. It's not about your cooking, it's about my program. So in those ways, you're taking charge. But one step is step out of the house. One step is make sure that you're with other people so that if you are feeling those feelings of deep sadness and feeling lonely, that is a way to move out of it. Making a phone call, making plans, initiating to get with other people. You know, so often people have said to me, wow, you know, I just didn't think to include that person. It didn't enter my mind. It's not that I didn't want to be with them. I just have my family over and that's it. Well, I'm saying think about it.
Yeah.
Think about it this year. Think about having other people who you know might be lonely. And make sure that if you have, whether it's an addiction to smoking, nicotine, alcohol, other drugs, you can take charge, especially if you've been doing well. You can take charge that you're not going to have a relapse. You are saying to the other people around you, help me. Help me make sure that I don't have this relapse and I don't slide. And if you do all of those things and it doesn't turn out the way you wanted and you do have a bit of a relapse, you can get up, brush yourself off, and move forward. Because that's another thing. There isn't one person on this planet who has never faltered. There is no one who has done it right every day, all day. There is none of us, there's not one of us, who has not been able to say, I made a mistake. I did the wrong thing. I made the wrong choice. Tomorrow's another day. You got another whole set of however many hours you're going to be up to do it differently. So that's the other thing is that I find that the people who are hardest on themselves, they don't give themselves room to make mistakes. And this is a time when it's very difficult if you've already had an addiction. It's very, very hard to avoid the things around you that other people don't have an addiction to, and so they're going to have the alcohol there. They don't have your problem, but if you do, then you need to say, please don't offer me that. Please know that I am trying very hard to stay in my sobriety. Or, as I mentioned before about some people who have eating disorders, you know, it's something that in the end we need to be in charge of ourselves. Mm-hmm. We need to take charge of the things that we want to occur. Help yourself make those happen by initiating that.
I love that because we have a choice. And you're leading us into the holidays and the new year with hope. Leading us into the new year with hope.
Well, I think we've had a lot of time to think about hope, and we certainly have. You know, I'm paying attention right now to the science and the experts. I'm getting a lot of hope from Dr. Fauci. Yeah. You know, I'm listening to that, and I'm hoping that, you know, we can move through the holidays in a more normal kind of way. You know, we made sure in our family that everybody had the booster before we got together for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. And it was very, very different for us than last year. And I'm grateful for that. I'm so happy for that. So let's think about what we're grateful for. Let's think about how we can initiate when we do feel lonely and we do feel alone and we want other people in our lives. We can take initiation by volunteering, by calling up our friends, calling our family, letting people know, hey, you know, I really was kind of lonely today, or I really was blue. Why don't we go for a walk together? Let's go for a walk in the neighborhood. Or do you have any last minute things you need to get? I'll go with you. You know, too often my clients will say to me, I was wallowing in it when all I needed to do was to instead of saying they don't want me to call them or they'd be bothered if I called them, when I say to them, make the phone call and see what happens, they come back to me and they say, they were happy to hear from me.
Yeah.
They wanted to include me. So it's very rarely about somebody wants to deliberately exclude you. That's never the case. But we need to take charge of making our lives what we want them to be.
I like that. And I think that's true, not only during the holidays and moving into the new year, but every single day.
Yeah,
take charge of making our lives what they want them to be.
That's exactly right.
Susan, it's another great life coaching session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Special thanks to our favorite life coach, Susan Harf. And thank you for joining us so much. Susan's given us a lot of ideas and tools that we can go into not only the holidays or not only into the new year, but realizing that we have a choice and we have a lot of hope for the future. I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. Happy New Year. From Susan and I, we'll be seeing you really, really soon. Thank you.